And
Well,
that should put us to live. So, welcome ladies and gentlemen. This is the next edition of the Exalted Scarf stream, and oh boy, have the happenings been happening, haven't they, Dave?
the fact that, there's been so much weird shit happening. So before, we get started, I'm gonna have to actually link us out. So if you can actually post the link so I can actually get it to, readers and listeners out there.
Alright.
No offense, Scarfy.
Yeah, I'll get to that in a sec. Share, copy link.
Hi, I'm once again Exalted Speed, aka the Dave, aka whatever thing I'm using this week. I'll go over some stuff I've been doing this week because I've been asked to do something weird and I'm not sure how to go about it yet. It's just kind of funny. But we'll talk about it when I talk about it, hopefully. Man.
Oh, the guy is so scarred.
Mike, I discovered there's another guy named Scarfy out there.
Yeah, that's why I added the strange at the end of mine, just to differentiate myself.
Man, we need to actually start competing against him. We clearly need to start fighting for justice here.
Competing over what? It's like, I mean, I specifically chose this name because, well, A, I wear a scarf, and 2, it's also kind of a dumb name. I didn't think anyone else would want it.
You're not wrong, but somebody clearly did.
It's like, alright, guy. Now we gotta be fighting over who gets to keep this name. That's just hilarious. Alright, I'm also gonna share this on.
I'm taking care of this right now.
Okay.
Yep. Alright, cool. I already posted the link, Scarfy, so we should be good. I'm now going to post on my Twitter. If there's any places you need to post, feel free.
Yeah, just give me a sec. I'll throw this up to my Minds account. Although I think there's all of one guy who will ever watch me from my Minds account.
I got 300 followers now, so we'll see if I get anybody from there.
In fact, I hear Parlor's doing pretty good, although it's kind of turned into an echo chamber already.
Yeah, no, there's a lot of that going around.
That's the thing. It's like, some of these places, as soon as they pop up, they just become the gathering grounds of everyone who got kicked off of Twitter.
Oh. Alright.
But yeah, if anything, I don't even know where to start. Because we've got EVO, we got Dungeons and Dragons, we've got
let's start funny and alright. I'll let me get into story time.
Alright, I'm gonna switch all the way back.
Let me get into story time. Retweet. Alright. Okay, alright, I'm done. So let's actually get into the actual chat here. Give me 1 second. Cool. Alright, just need to make sure I was actually in the chat. And give me 1 other second here. Okay,
Alright.
So... Alright, now... I've been asked something, I I take requests on my Twitter, and one of the quests is look into the Raylo fandom.
Oh boy.
I've been doing research. I have read the oldest Raylo fanfic I could find, which was posted a month before The Force Awakens premiered.
I thought we were done with this whole Star Wars bullshit.
No, I apparently have dug my heels in on this. And, you know, we are doing, and I'm doing this apparently, so I've been looking up weird videos where people point to novel passages that, like, enforce the canon. And, yeah, no, this has been an interesting time. I was asked to do it because somebody was curious about the whole bad boy, good girl story thing. And I was like, yeah, fine, I'll look into it. What's the... Yes, Dad? Sorry. Jesus. Sorry. Anyway. Of all things. We are right now, like I said, that's just what's been happening on my end. And other than that, that's just been what I've been doing there. Because, if you got this shit, whatever, it is what it is right now. And I am ticked, but it's interesting. And like I said, it's the funny stuff that's been happening to me recently, so hey, But if people are watching and are in the chat, I would like to know, because, hey, we do take questions during this whole thing, and if people want to actually, talk to us, feel free. So, besides that, though, and honestly, with every topic, let's now just dive into Evo stuff, because there's just a lot to talk about with that, and it's so fucked up, man. Okay. Hello?
Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, speaking of somebody who actually deserves to be cancelled.
Well, yeah, no. I actually was a pretty big supporter of EVO for a couple years myself, just because I felt like it was a good video game tournament and promoted a lot of shit. Now, I never went to one personally, and I didn't really know anybody in the community, but I did watch it. So, I was not a big Smash player. Smash watcher. I was more into the other games because I'm into my anime games. But yeah, no, it's kind of insane the scale that this happened at. It's shocking. Like, people talk about conspiracies, but Jesus Christ, that's like, how? Okay. So...
Okay, from one to Finder's cult, how big of a conspiracy do you think this gotten into?
I think we're getting a little... I think we've gotten into, like, sub-Finder's cult.
Alright, we're... like, not nearly on the level of, the Vatican levels.
It's close there because there's at least 100 people implicated.
Yeah, this is...
So, mostly Smash players. That's not even getting into what's been happening with, Sky Williams. And what happened where he basically ended up creating Final Fantasy House, the sequel.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. There's with Smash. I mean, it's got a lot of cute, cartoony Nintendo characters. It's going to attract a lot of kids, and whenever you have a lot of kids in one place, you're gonna end up attracting predators. The predators will go where the prey is. That's just how it is.
Look, I can see where you're coming from, Mike, and that's...
yeah, you gotta keep an eye out for this kind of stuff. We've seen this stuff before.
You're not wrong. Uh, but yeah, I guess you're not wrong on that one. I'll say this, but Nintendo has always been an all ages thing, so it's just kind of weird that this happened now. Honestly, you want to know what's shocking?
Yeah.
Oh, hey, Johnny McJim is in the chat. Yo, man, good to hear from you. Okay, joking aside, do you want to know what the most shocking thing? I'm actually shocked the Pokemon community hasn't busted open from this one. Like, if we're talking about Nintendo properties where they probably are child predators.
Yeah, what didn't they have the whole thing with the Bulbapedia?
That did have. I forgot about that actually. Yeah, that happened a couple years ago, didn't it?
Like I said, they keep going where the kids are. It's like wherever there's kids' properties.
You're not wrong on that one, and it's a little bit. Yeah. Hey, great to hear you're great, Johnny McJim. It's good to hear you in the right now. We're talking about Dark Secrets of Evo and stuff like that. Okay, and honestly, I don't have much commentary besides just fuck it all. I'm glad it's canceled.
Yeah, I mean,
Damn.
there's no saving that. That's the thing. And yeah, when Wizard got implicated, I just got a sudden case of deja vu, like what happened with NeoGaf. Like, so many people were in the bank for all of this stuff, and then all of a sudden, their leader gets implicated in the most heinous stuff you can imagine.
That's fair.
I mean, this is stuff that's been happening again and again, where it seems on the level, but there's always this dark under secret that goes on, because people are able to get away with stuff.
You're not wrong there, and that whole thing has just been, like I said, that's pretty much what. There's not really much to say other than what needed to happen had happened. Everything got canceled. Yeah,
Magic the Gathering had an issue with judges too, but nobody wanted to acknowledge it because it was the quartering that brought it up.
Yeah, unfortunately, one of the big problems is that, and I hate it. So I have issues with the quartering myself as just in general, because when he talks about something I really know well, like comics, it's one of those things just like, stop talking, you idiot. You know? Like, when you know a topic really well, sometimes he's good at the Magic scene stuff, and some of his commentary actually is important there, not all of it, but it's one of those things of, you can probably take 70% of what he says about Magic at, like, you know...
Like, yeah, dudes, just stick with the Magic the Gathering stuff. And that's the thing. It's like in fact, this isn't even the first time we've seen like this kind of predatory behavior in gaming. I mean, there's been talks of people preying on kids just through multiplayer video games. I mean, they've been trying to go after kids in games like MapleStory and even Call of Duty, just going through the voice chats. I mean, it's a scary world out there, so you kind of have to be careful.
Yeah, no, you're not wrong, actually. And I'll say this with the whole thing, and I'm going to talk about this a little bit here. A couple of years ago, actually, I had to throw out a Dungeons & Dragon player because he actually was predatorial to some of the younger kids at my table.
God damn it, that guy!
Yes, you remember, you played with him.
Yeah, I knew something was wrong with him. I should have called him out sooner than that.
I didn't know about it, but I had to figure out what it did. I had to learn about it a little bit after the fact. But I found out about it, and I had to actually throw him out and ban him from doing anything near me ever again.
Yeah, I mean, you know what made me suspicious about that guy? It's his verbiage, the way he said the word tush. It's like, who says that?
Well, I don't necessarily usually call out people's verbiage, because there's often weird people out there, and I'm not a judgmental guy usually, but I try to be careful. especially because I had actually specific rules. One, I myself never ask for anyone under 18-year-olds information ever. Like, that's not something I was asked to do. That was just a personal choice on my end. Never ask for someone under 18's information ever. Even if unless I was like a teacher or something and I need to contact their parents. But, like, I'm not a teacher, so I just never do it.
Yeah. I mean, talk to the parents that brought them there, but don't talk to the kids directly.
No, this guy was not a furry, Johnny McJim. Johnny McJim in chat, if you guys aren't knowing, is saying it was the guy a furry, and no. This is not the guy who wanted to be a wolf man, actually.
Something tells me there's a separate issue involved with this one, too.
This is a couple years out, so I actually don't mind talking about this. The guy was actually sharing, sites with the kids that were inappropriate, and yeah, we banned him hard. Like, we just didn't want him at the table. Plus, I always wanted to keep a safe table for my Dungeons and Dragons games. Like,
yeah, you were always good with that one.
I don't like people. Look, I always am. As a rule, as a DM, don't make people feel weird or awkward while they're doing a game, and just keep in mind. And honestly, if you can cut out busy work, do it. I cut out a lot of busy work in my game since we didn't exactly have like 4 hours to do everything in the game. And I'm like, okay, people need like a fix each week, and that they only get about 3 hours, so I can't just do everything without it feeling unsatisfactory or expecting people having to remember what they need next week. So, you have to make some choices in games when you do that. As a DM, that's what I do, because I was actually running on it. Weirdly enough, if we're gonna go on to weirder topics with Dungeons & Dragons, since, we're now on that topic, the evil racist thing is so dumb.
Yeah, I think they're going after the Dark Elves, but I know definitely they're going after the Oriental adventures.
Well, my issue with that right now is, look. Dungeons & Dragons is a set of guidelines you as a player are allowed to either embrace or ignore. That's always kind of been the thing with Dungeons & Dragons.
You can always house rule it, that's the thing.
You can always kind of house rule it, and often books encourage it. So to say orcs are necessarily this or that when, it might be true in one setting, but it wasn't necessarily true in another setting. Half-orcs have been, it's kind of ridiculous. That's not even getting into stuff like Dritz Duerdon or anything else, too. It's kind of insane because I know they're trying to do the whole Token was a racist thing, and so clearly, Oh, and by the way, Token was not a racist. The guy was of his time, but, he was anti-racist for the most part. And as far as I can tell, he noticed issues, and he wanted to fix them even later in life. So at his worst, he's better than most people of his generation could be. So it's not like it's H.P. Lovecraft where we actually have to, never talk about the name of his cat.
Yeah. Lovecraft was a weird guy who wrote for Weird Tales magazine.
He was a weird dude.
Which kind of, I tend, in fact, I kind of want to refer to his whole universe as the Weird Verse, not the Lovecraftian verse. Because this is like, you collaborate a lot, so there's a lot of other authors who mixed into that universe, and some of the stuff we associate with Lovecraft wasn't even done by Lovecraft.
To be fair, there's also like the fact that he was also good friends with Robert E. Howard, and they cross over mythologies on occasion. There's actually some very strong Conan the Barbarian Cthulhu mythos ties of all things.
Which really conflicts the tone. If, like,
I love
cosmic
it.
doom and horror, all of a sudden, roar, barbarian!
I kind of love it because of that reason. It's like, yo, I am Conan. Hear me roar and beat people up with my sword, or axe, or anything else. Look, I love Conan Barbarian classic stories a lot. He's probably, out of like all the pulp stuff from back in the day, probably my favorite.
I kind of like I'm getting into the Hyperborean universe now.
There's some pretty good stuff there.
It's good to read about stuff that didn't even involve Conan.
No, there's some interesting stuff. Red Sonja stuff can be interesting on occasion, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of interesting stuff with Conan, honestly, and I think people look at it and don't see some of the cool stuff. Though Robert E. Howard himself also has his issues, like H.P. Lovecraft. One of the reasons they were good friends. Anyway.
These people are incapable of deviating from what they're told or coming up with something on their own. They need to be told what to do. That's why they hate fun. What, did someone tell them to hate fun there, Johnny McJim?
Well, a lot of people just seem to hate fun and seem to hate wonderment. And
well, somebody told them to hate fun. Somebody declared fun the enemy. Neil! Were you in on this? Fucking Neil Druckmann strikes again.
Neil's always fighting against the fun boys.
Yeah, and faking reviews for his games.
Neil Druckmann, of course. But, this whole thing, man, we just have to accept Neil just wanted to be a subversive dude. He didn't want to play by the rules set down by society, man.
I'm getting the feeling that people learned the wrong lessons from Game of Thrones, and they're now doing subversion for subversion's sake.
Dude, okay, I'm actually going to talk about this whole subversion thing and give a history. I blame more TV tropes than anything else on the whole subversion thing, and I'll explain why. A lot of people looked at TV tropes, and they would end up declaring... Okay, so when people look at TVtropes.com, they often look at, I don't want to do this cliche. How do I not write a cliche story? And that's basically impossible. You shouldn't have to worry about that. In fact, I often say try not to think about it in terms of tropes at all. Realize they're there, but don't necessarily fight against them or learn how to think about them. Because the thing about it is they start trying to subvert everything because they want it to be like, there's this trope that needs to be subverted because it's not true or something. Like, to give you an idea, like I was reading tropes, like TV tropes a couple of weeks ago or months ago, right? Okay?
Yeah.
And it tried to say that the yaoi fangirl was a discredited trope, and I'm like, what? And now that doesn't make sense for a couple of reasons. It's one, I know enough yaoi fangirls in my life to be like, that is such a actually kind of true stereotype. I mean, if you're gonna say that's a discredited stereotype, you might as well be like, dude, guys who are into lesbians, it's like, okay, yeah, there's fangirls who are into the yaoi scene. People know about it. We make fun of it all the time. So, okay. According to our friend Phoenix, we need to adjust you're very loud and I'm very quiet, apparently. So, I'm going to fix that.
Alright, maybe it's just the volume levels. I'm gonna see if I could... Actually, maybe if I... Or wait to lower the... Oh, how's that? Mic on OBS, see if that works.
Give me a sec.
volume up.
All right. How do I sound now?
Chat, how does he... Quieter to me. How about you guys? How does he come?
Give me a sec, man. I'll check here.
Uh-oh. I think I'm... Dave. Dave, you still there?
Can you hear me?
Okay, I can hear you.
How do I sound?
Okay, you sound...
Okay. Give me a sec, man. Okay, how do I sound? You sound fine on my end, but I don't know how you sound through the stream. So chat, please tell us how do we sound now at the very least. Just so we know. Because okay, I'm gonna pause for a second here and I'm gonna play this. Okay?
Actually, I hope my... Okay. Okay.
Hmm.
To put my mic on 50%.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. The stream's caught up and hearing my... and I'm listening in on it. And now... Yeah, I think messing with my mic on OBS has caused me to cut out a few times. So yeah, I'll try to be not nearly as loud as possible.
How do I sound?
Yeah, Phoenix Halcyon is now saying you've gotten quieter. Now, Johnny McJim says he can hear ye. Hear ye, hear ye.
Yeah, no, I had to actually fix the placement on my mic. It was a little farther than me than it should have been.
Is that it?
Yeah. It's this is a process. And I apparently sound good.
Alright. We at least sound at the same level.
Give me a sec. This is always a process.
Alright. Yeah, well, Al says we're better, so I think that works for now.
Let's get it. All right.
Yeah, I have no idea what's going on Dave's spaceship right now.
I have no idea either, but as long as I sound like a human being man. Sorry, I'm just trying to get the arm set up because here's the thing. My mic is on an arm and I'm trying to adjust it so that way it doesn't do a lot of movement during this whole process. This
Actually,
is a very...
what I should do is go out and get myself a new gaming headset because the sound in my headphones have crapped out, so I'm actually using the speakers from my monitor.
Well, as long
It's
as
not the best sound setup I have right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, okay. Let me do this. Adjusting. Ay. Okay. So I'm gonna give like a. So this is me gonna be testing this out because if this is spotty, this might actually sound better. So 1, 2, 3. Can everybody hear me? Raise your hand and clap like you don't care. I hope you guys all heard that. It's embarrassing. I am sad.
Alright, clap in the chat if you can hear us both at a good level. I think they
don't
could
know.
hear us though.
You
So,
look for-
should we unpause?
So I don't know. This has just been
Yeah, there's a hefty delay too, I've noticed, when looking at the actual, like, turning on the actual stream on my phone.
Yeah, no, there does seem to be a delay, but we'll see how we do. We might just have to be spotty this time and actually prepare better next time.
Yeah, I think tomorrow I'll just go shopping for another headset and get this thing working right. Now then, Dungeons and Dragons. So yeah, they're obsessing over the race thing. I mean, the whole Oriental adventures they're cracking down on for some reason because it's stereotyping Asians, despite the fact that it's Oriental. Plus, it's actually one of the settings I've been wanting to see more of in a fantasy world.
Well, honestly, I don't think it would be a good idea because look, okay.
But I don't know. I'm just kind of burnt out on European medieval fantasy.
Well, here's the thing. There could also be Viking fantasy. That's actually a genre onto itself. Let's be honest.
Well, Viking fantasy and like Greco-Roman fantasy, those have been mixed in with European fantasy. Just look at the monster manual. You're seeing like all sorts of different European monsters.
You're not wrong, but
even Middle Eastern monsters, they have genies in there.
True. I don't know if there's actually a good like way of handling this sometimes because look, honestly, I'm shocked that they're getting rid of Oriental Adventure for one reason. Is that samurai stuff and Japanese stuff is a popular theme no matter what.
It is. I mean, let's have a Tenchu Stealth Assassins universe. Let's have that.
Don't crush my dreams, don't crush my dreams.
Oh, come on. That game series was awesome. It was one of my earliest stealth games I've played.
By don't crush my dreams, I mean don't give me hope that could actually come back.
Yeah, I know.
But okay, so let me explain what I've been. But no, like it is what it is. I imagine that this will die down in a couple months or so, but we'll see what happens. Like, because to me, it's like this. I really feel like with one problem with people getting into D&D and not knowing how to handle that is that what matters about D&D is not necessarily the rules, it's really who you play with.
Yeah.
And if you're playing with people who are fine with, like, here's the thing. I encourage DMs to always talk to their players first before they start an adventure. And it's like, hey, are you okay with this theming? Are you okay with that theming? I want to do this type of game. Is anybody cool with that? As long as you're honest about what themes you're going in on, like, you know, I want to do a Game of Thrones thing. That means you're probably going to add in a lot of sex shit. You know, like,
you do that. That's what you should do as a DM, is be honest about it. And I always feel like the best way to talk to people about D&D is not the lore in the books. It's player behavior. And I'm not talking like, oh no, you can't say this at a table. Oh, hey, they're clapping. Cool. They can hear us.
That's good.
We are unfortunately on a much higher delay than I thought, so
Oh yeah, it's like that is a while.
yeah. So that might be the biggest issue here. But we'll try and work on this, guys. This is just, we're starting this amazing streaming podcast journey together. And
Give me a break, guys. He's out in space with Hal, going to Jupiter. There's going to be some input lag.
You're right. By the way, if people who don't know that I'm also on the Hal and Dave channel, I'm on the Hal and Dave channel. Check us out. Subscribe to us. Do something. Yeah, so we'll get into this whole thing with everything else. Now with everything going on here, I'll say this. With Dungeons and Dragons, you need to encourage your players. You need to talk to them. It's about communicating with them. Don't be a little bitch boy about it, and actually talk to your players. What's in the books doesn't matter as much as what you put on the table.
Yeah.
Man, that's a great line. The books don't matter as much as what you put on the table. Fuck, that's great. I'm gonna save that for like a book. I'm gonna write How to Play Dungeons and Dragons the Dave way.
Yeah, I think most of these rules are just really just there to apply to conventions, where it's like people will play at random tables or games, bring their character sheets along.
I guess, but that is such a small minority of what D&D actually is as a community, you know?
Yeah, I mean, the best and the true way to experience Dungeons and Dragons is essentially like at a friend's house at their dinner table.
Like, we have to believe in the D&D player who believes in you and stuff like that.
And believe it or not, some game sessions could take like well over 8 hours, really dedicated into it.
Don't remind me of the 12-hour Exalted game I was part of.
Yes.
Please don't. There are many things I rather do to think about. I think I only got 2 attacks in. I don't remember.
That's because of how they set up the rule set for Exalted. You do so many things, and it takes up so little game time during combat.
I was haunted by the darkness. The darkness.
Yeah, the darkness of waiting for your turn while everyone's doing all this insane combo maneuvers. Wonder you guys had to have a player limit on that one.
Well, one of the big problems is I think the gameplay was not... Okay, I have a theory on Exalted. It was a game where you were not meant to fight other Exalted, or at least it was going to be rare. My DMs tended to overload the setting with a lot of Exalts. Yeah. Look, I am not here to judge for what Exalted does, but I do have PTSD memories of that game session.
White Wolf's attempt at creating a medieval fantasy world.
No, it's White Wolf's attempt to be anime.
Yeah.
Like, I have the scars, man. The mental scars. Actually,
if you want to play an anime character, get Besm D20.
Actually, it's also the game where I technically got my name from, so...
Yeah. Exalted Speed.
Yeah, no.
But don't tell White Wolf.
I don't know if actually people know how that name came about, but I'll talk about it sometime later, because that's a fascinating story onto itself.
Oh yeah. And the
Um, but yeah, no, it's a table thing, and I always think about table stuff. So let me actually talk about this. This is what I was dealing with today, and this is why I'm like, why I'm an angry Jewish boy with opinions tonight.
here we go.
So should so I so X-Men was trending on Twitter. And then this guy, and this was the most popular tweet on Twitter at the time, or at least the one that was getting the most traction. Magneto should be a black man. And
They're doing that again?
Yeah, it comes up every couple of years. I'm not a big fan. Okay. Look, I yeah, okay. I have opinions on Magneto specifically being black, and I've never been a big fan. And I'm actually doing research into this because I'm actually kind of curious. So apparently we're on a 5-minute time delay. Okay, fair enough. All right.
Yeah.
So, that is fucked up, man. Mike, maybe next. All right, we're gonna have to experiment to see if we can get that down to like 30 seconds. I would prefer 30 seconds.
Yeah, I would prefer that too. I'll have to figure out how YouTube is doing things.
It might be something with an OBS setting you're doing.
Alright. I'll have to look into that.
I think we're kind of stuck right now with this unless we want to restart this and do another stream, but
But yeah, if you say something, expect it to take us 5 minutes to address it.
Unfortunately, yes. So, okay. One aspect to keep in mind with this, though, and cancel culture. Okay, Magneto. All right, so I'll go over the Magneto argument here because it comes up every couple of years. One, Magneto should be played by a black person because then we can have the civil rights metaphor make more sense. And it's like, it already makes sense. It's fine. Magneto was a Jewish survivor of the Holocaust. You don't have to change that. You know?
I think this ties into this current trend in voice acting where it's like white actors cannot portray black characters in voice acting. I think that's what's going on. And because that came up, they're trying to do this in comics too, where it's like now that we're going into like race issues, we have to anything that tangentially related to race issues has to be portrayed by a black character.
Well, actually, let me talk about this to an extent. You're not wrong about this, and this has been kind of happening in comics in different ways. Let me tell you about the story of Christopher Priest. Christopher Priest is one of the most prolific African American comic book writers ever. Maybe the most prolific at this point. He's definitely no Dwayne. It's at this point in time. I'll tell you what he's famous for. He's famous for probably the best Black Panther run. So, and this is my opinion, is that he wrote the best Black Panther run. Most people who read it agree, but everybody's going to debate on it. But it's better than Ta-Nehisi Coates' very boring comic. God, if you told me a comic was made out of molasses, I would believe it. It was created by Ta-Nehisi Coates. Okay, so anyway, one of the reasons Christopher Priest's story is important is that he left comics for almost a decade, actually. I have to count up how many years he was out of it. But there was a reason why. It was because they would keep giving him only black characters to write. And keep in mind, this has been years ago. This is like early 2000s. So this was way before all this culture bullshit. So he would only get black characters to write, and it was ticking him off because he didn't think of himself necessarily as a black writer. He thought of himself as a writer. And keep in mind, this guy is prolific. He worked with Stan Lee. He worked under Jim Shooter. He was an editor of Spider-Man. This guy actually has some impressive chops as a creator. It's nothing to sneeze at. And he definitely is one of the most smart people in the business. He made a buddy cop comedy where the white dude was the funny dude because he was like, let's make the black guy the straight man in this. Again, guy is a smart ass writer. But because he was constantly being pegged as the black dude, it meant that he didn't get to work with as many characters as he wanted to. So he left until DC was like, hey, do you want this character? And he was like, is he not black? And they gave him Deathstroke, and it led to one of the best Deathstroke runs in comics.
Yeah.
Who knew? All you had to do to get one of the best writers is don't make him like pigeonhole him, you know?
So hands up, don't mutate. Here we go.
Yeah. So, hey, I'm like I agree on that one. So, hey, you know.
And yeah, generally, I mean, I'm speaking from my melanin levels here, but if I were in his position, I would like to play as all kinds of characters or create all kinds of characters. I don't want to be just left with just the ethnic ones.
Well, yeah, like there's a funny story about him a couple years is that DC brought him back for a Firestorm project. Except here's the thing. He was actually excited about the Firestorm project, but he didn't know that they actually made a black Firestorm until he came in on the project and was like, wait, because he thought Firestorm for him was a white dude initially, and he was. And they made a new Firestorm who was black, and then they brought him in, and he was like, oh.
Oh, really? Really, dude?
Yeah, it got really awkward. And I feel like editors need to stop doing that. You should be able to offer a lot of projects to many different people. Nowadays, like a good example is Christos Gage. Christos Gage was put onto Captain Marvel for a year or so. And here's the important thing. They did it with his wife who never wrote comics. A lot of people called this, and keep in mind, this is just rumor, but this is probably true. A lot of people thought, and I think that his wife didn't actually help write the title. She was just brought on so nobody would complain that a female writer wasn't writing Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
Yeah, again, it's a conspiracy theory, but a very likely one. And there's no actual definitive proof on it, but looking at the title and the fact that she doesn't really work in comics that much, it's one of those things of maybe she was consulted and they want to give her that credit to avoid any issue. Because a lot of the new Captain Marvel stuff has only been written by women, and honestly, the Captain Marvel comics, and I always say this, are aggressively mediocre at best. At best.
Yeah.
I want to like them to an extent because I don't like hating characters, but so far Carol just doesn't have that much interesting material to really be like, oh yay, Captain Marvel. Can I read about the one who became a crazy mad god again? He was cool. We're on a 10-minute delay?
Are we?
Apparently, according to Phoenix here.
How are we having that kind of time dilation bullshittery going on?
Are we just on like a weird time thing?
This,
Do we want to?
I think YouTube's buffering us by a fuck ton.
Do we want to restart this to see if we can take care of the delay? I don't know. This is God. Apparently, we're just like technical issues tonight.
Settings. I'm gonna check the settings on broadcast. I could. Okay. The auto reconnect timeout. Make a lower that a bit. See, that'll help. Like, yeah, I always say everyone's too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what's going on is that YouTube may very well be just throttling us. I don't know why. We're pretty microscopic.
Who knows? It's YouTube. Maybe it's just a problem with the stream itself, and
Or maybe Brie Larson got on and they want her to get all the attention.
Joking aside.
You know how it is. It's like once celebrities were getting onto the platform, YouTube was starting to divert all the algorithms to favor them more often. And that's getting annoying because YouTube was supposed to be just for the average ordinary Joes.
Look, everything is supposed to be for the average ordinary Joes, and then people make stuff. It happens.
I mean, celebrities have their own platform. It's called Hollywood.
Hollywood's not good enough anymore. Okay, honestly, Hollywood is kind of losing relevance in a lot of ways nowadays. If you actually want to take a look at it, but
yeah, kind of hard to do your big budget movies and television shows when there's a big epidemic going on.
There's one problem with Hollywood right now is that celebrities aren't draws anymore. Franchises are.
Yeah. And why these guys are trying to take over franchises.
Yeah. Phoenix Halcyon has a great little comment here on dividing comics or other stories along different lines restricts the universal human experience that are there. Yeah, and Johnny McGinnis being only able to write black characters sounds like segregation.
It practically is, actually. And that's the thing that always bugs me. Like, we are slowly going back to segregationist societies, where we have to divide everything between, okay... Well, it used to be, when it comes to segregation, it used to be whites and non-whites. Now they're doing it so that it's just blacks and non-blacks.
Dude, it's kind of crazy, but that's a whole societal thing. But you know what is going to be a societal thing? I think this is very important to talk about. A topic that is going to push us to our limits tonight. Games costing $70.
Oh, yeah. This probably has something to do with the crackdown on the monetization efforts. Like the loot boxes.
I don't think so. Well, I think maybe. All right, I think it's a factor of many factors. Okay, let me go over what I think is the problem. One, it's okay. One, budgets on video games are ballooning out of control, mostly because they need to have all these expensive texturing stuff go on. Lots of pushing the envelopes, pushing technology, experimentation, crunch, loot box monetization schemes not working out or being legal issues in general, failures of massive games when they happen. I think the $70 was an inevitable thing, and I'm not going to like it because here's the thing. I like being able to afford games when I can, but $70 is one of those prices where I actually have to be like, okay, I have to think about really wanting this game, and I have to hope I like it.
Yeah. What we really
Like-
need to do is bring back the middle market.
Well, I'm gonna be honest here. I have bought action figures that are way more expensive than that. A lot of them, actually. But the thing with action figures is that they're often very nice display pieces. I can move them in and out. I'm okay with having them around. I don't really have to dedicate so much time to them. But a $70 time sink, I really have to think about. And I don't want to pay $70 and then have to pay for a season pass. You know? Like, imagine we live in an area. Uh-huh. Mm-hmm.
What's
So, yeah, no, I just got to comment on one of my things, but we live in a weird area. I don't want, but let me put it this way. If I'm paying $70, I want to pay for a complete game. That's not going to happen, but I want to play for as much as a complete game as possible if this is going to be the thing that happens. You know?
Well, part of the problem is that games are way over budget nowadays. But some of that is just due to the Hollywood quality they're putting into them at this rate.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're putting in a lot of cinematics. I mean, just look at The Last of Us 2. Like, all those motion capture stuff, that's not cheap. You have to hire actors and everything. And, and to me, that feels like a waste of money. It's like, if you're paying more to make your game less interactive, then you don't understand the concept of gaming.
Yeah. That's fair.
I mean, we used to have a big middle market where it's like a middle ground between the indie scene and the AAA scene, where the AA scene would just, they have enough money to make like something that's closer to a AAA game, but they have enough flexibility to experiment with a few things. Sometimes they work, sometimes they don't, and if they work, well, they get a sequel and they slowly turn into a AAA title. There's been a bunch of games I can think of that's been kind of like that. Pretty sure The Witcher was a middle market title.
The Witcher initially was a middle market title for a lot of reasons. It was a Polish company. It had to get established. In fact, it was based on an old BioWare engine, if I believe before they made their own in-house one for The Witcher 2. So it was a very middling game at best in the initial version. Not to say the game was bad, but it is what it is.